All right, I'm just checking the mic. And I don't like these things, so let's scoot it under. All right, I have 6 o'clock. We're hot. Okay. Welcome to YouTube Land. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I will tell you that I was expecting a much larger crowd. But I appreciate those of you who made it. And hopefully we have quite a few more joining us on YouTube. Do we have a clicker for the?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, I want to save my mushiness for the end. Friday's my last day here, so I'll save all that for the end of the conversation. So,
Sir.
if you made these town hall meetings, the very first one was in April. It lasted 2 hours and 47 minutes. The second one was sub 2 hours. I'm hoping to keep this to about an hour, so that way you're not here all night long. Can y'all hear me all right? It sounds like it's not sound. All right, so a couple little secrets about me. I always have a purposeful theme on my PowerPoint. So I'm sure you don't remember, but my first town hall meeting in April, it was a ladder. And the word success is at the top of the ladder. So I was trying to give you a subliminal message that we were climbing out of the problem. And so then the second town hall meeting was right before school let out in May, and it was a puzzle. You remember it was a puzzle, and it was putting the pieces together. And so now we're on target. Okay, so we climbed down, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and we're on target. So that's going to be kind of the underlying theme to my presentation tonight. We've come a long ways. And so I've been here almost exactly 100 days come Friday. And it sounds like a long time on this end, but it's really gone by quickly. And there were questions in the beginning about how long I was going to stay here, and I was talking about the Bader election was going to be in November, and we're going to talk about that still tonight. But I told you that I was planning to stay here till December. Well, things have changed in my household. My wife had a stroke about a month ago now, and our children are grown, and so I live here during the week, and I go home on weekends, and I just need to get home to mama. Okay, so I hope y'all understand. I'm not ditching y'all because there's problems or anything like that. It's just, I need to take care of my wife. I've been in this business nearly 42 years and in the superintendency position nearly 17 years. And so, I've put in my time. You can remember my birthday. It's the first day of school, August 24th. I'll be 66. Now, hopefully I don't look that old, but I'm getting there, okay? So it's time for me to ride off in the sunset and enjoy my last years here. So I'll say my goodbyes for the end, but just giving you a little introduction to things. All right, I want to just take you quickly through a summary of what's happened. I'll be posting this PowerPoint on our website along with the other PowerPoints that I've given. You go back 6 years ago, the district was solvent. We had a really good fund balance of $10.6 million. And in 21-22, we had a deficit budget. Now I will tell you that having a deficit budget isn't a good thing, but the majority of the schools in Texas have deficit budgets. And so to have what I would consider a small deficit budget that year wasn't an alarming thing. But then the next year you have a $2.1 million deficit budget. Then you have a that's my dyslexia kicking in, like $9.6 million in deficit. And our fund balance has gone from 10.6 to 1.3. The brakes should have been pumping really hard by then. Well, then it happened again, and then it happened this past year. So with that, the district made a really horrible decision of taking money out of bond indebtedness fund balance of $2.7 million. Now let me explain bond indebtedness. That's voter-approved money specifically for the bond. So the bond was to build these buildings back in 2015. And so that money can only be used for facilities. It shouldn't have been used for day-to-day operational costs. And what I've discovered, because TEA has an investigation going on, so this thing's not going away. TEA is doing an investigation, a pretty deep dive on this. And what I will tell you in full transparency is the superintendent acted without the board. So the board's culpable because it was explained to them in audits, but the board didn't have a budget amendment coming to them and them approving taking this money out of that fund balance. So this is probably going to go somewhere else, but here's the deal. We can be upset about it, but that's not going to change anything today. And so you just have to accept that there's a pathway out of this mess. I'm going to lay that out for you here shortly. And Dr. Miller, stand up. This is going to be your new superintendent, Dr. Cody Miller. And I was hoping the board president would be here to introduce him. He's currently the superintendent of the Pryor. He's not our superintendent yet. He won't be until he signs his contract on Wednesday next week. So you're planning to be in district on Thursday?
Thursday, yes.
Right. All right, so if you want to meet him afterwards, thank you, Dr. Miller, for being here. Try to run him through all of this too. This is information for himself to learn. All right, so we're moving on. Again, quickly, very quickly, I've shown this at my first two town hall meetings. The district hired in September 24 a finance consultant to come in, Jeff Solomon. He tried to get some things straightened out with the board fired him. To come in, hire Andrew Kim. I know Mr. Kim really well. He used to be superintendent in the Broncos. And then he went into consulting business. He made several reports. I've read both of these gentlemen's reports. They were giving the superintendent and the board explicit directions on what to do, on how to move, and try to turn financial problems they were experiencing. Because if we could have done it back in these years, we might not be talking tonight. But here we are. All right, so finance advisors quit on the district because they weren't being listened to. Then the district filed for financial exigency, just like we did last May. This was in December of 25, or 24, excuse me. And then in the spring of 25, they did RIFs. So leased employees, which is where the majority of our overhead costs are invested in our budget. But then they turn around and hire people back. Why do we do that? All right, so with that, the board was informed in 23, 24, 25, and 26 audits that there were problems. And they were informed in 24 and 25 and 26 that money was taken out of the INS fund balance. So the board had an opportunity to take some corrective actions there too. All right, moving on. I come in early April, and so in February, just 2 months before I get here, the board has findings in their audit. So every school district has an independent audit. This is to ensure the communities there's no fraud. And if there is misdoings with money, that it's reported publicly at board meetings. So these were all the findings. The biggest no-no was they borrowed $2.7 million out of INS fund balance. But then they whittle down other monies that they had. All right, again, I've covered this in two past meetings, so I'm going to get through that part quickly. So let's move forward to some conversations I had with you all last April and last May. We talked about our attendance is low, 91.33. Well, that was a loss of $107,000. Moms and dads, families, we got to get our kids up to school, all right? We've got to be here. And then our enrollment dropped to 103 kids. So pulling kids out is going to put nails in the coffin here. This will ensure that your district closes and consolidates if we don't stop the bleed of parents pulling kids out. Now, they're your kids. Do what you wish, but you understand the dynamics of what this school does for the community beyond the hoopla of football games and pageantry and everything else. When all these teachers who are from Crystal have to move away to go somewhere else, this town is going to wither up. It's not my town, it's your town. I'm just telling you, y'all can have a part in playing that because that costs the district $1.4 million. Those kids will withdraw and go somewhere else. All right? So keep that in mind. All right, some of these other items, again, I'm going to post this on our webpage later, and all of this has been in my previous meetings. This part here is new information. All right, battery's dead. All right. Sorry, we'll do this old-fashioned. All right, so this is new information, so let's talk about this. Now, in my first town hall meeting, I mentioned this phrase. When the board interviewed me and hired me, I mentioned this phrase. The first staff meeting I had with the cabinet here, I mentioned this phrase. A vision without a plan is merely a dream. So this is how Richard Brill operates. If he wants to enunciate that we're going to do something, we're going to accomplish something, my goal is to explain how we're going to do it, okay? I think a lot of leaders don't do a good enough job. When I say leaders, I'm talking from superintendents to governors to presidents. What is the plan to get out of whatever problem we're in, or how are we going to excel and meet goals? All right, so I come in, our budget is approximately 90% staff, employees. That should be closer to 70%. So I come in and I reduce the hard numbers to 23%, but I put 25 because we also have lost through attrition. We haven't filled all the positions that people have resigned. So all of that is money in our funds to do other things besides payroll. Now, there were a lot of people at my second town hall meeting in May saying that they were worried about how our schools have F ratings or D ratings, and it's going to affect class size. Folks, these were all paraprofessional positions. These were not teacher positions. So this isn't affecting the classroom. These are helpers, instructional aides, and others on the campus, secretaries, receptionists, clerks, things of that nature. And yes, in a perfect world, we'd have all these extra people here, but I can tell you that that's not the norm in school districts. School districts operate really lean, and we were really fat with paraprofessionals. So we reduced it for us, we call that a RIF, and then through attrition. So we only RIFed 4 people, and 2 of them were part-time people. So if you want to look at it, it's 3 people, what we call FTEs, full-time equivalents. All right, everybody's heard that we reduced our 3 campuses into 1. That's on paper. So Rivera Elementary and Zavala Elementary are not going to be Rivera and Zavala. They're just going to have the names on the buildings. It's going to be Crystal City Elementary. So we had to reclassify the TDA and make it into one school. The kiddos will be in those two buildings. Benito Juarez will be vacant with no students. And we hope once we can get HVAC units and things fixed there, sell the central office, put that money into funds, and then move central office over to Benito Juarez campus. So that saves us money. Does that make sense to everybody? So where the savings came from was at-will employees, so we don't need as many at-will employees at one campus. We don't need 3 principals, we only have 1 principal. We don't need 3 secretary staffs, 3 counselors, and 3 of everything. We have 1. So overhead costs. And collectively at the elementary schools, we have 19 empty classrooms. So, if there's a fear, if we grow, we have room for 19 classrooms to fill up at the elementary level before we need to. So if we get into better times in the future, we can break open and use those campuses the way they were this past year. All right, we're preparing to sell unneeded facilities, and so we have some vacant property in the district, and we have the old grammar school and the central office, and so the board has decided we're going to sell those properties. All right, so last night at our board meeting, and that's the reason I wanted to have the town hall meeting tonight, is because we had a board meeting last night. We made some pretty big decisions, which I'm going to get into in a bit. The thing about selling these properties is these are just one-time shots of infusion money. We have some one-shot things that we've got to pay down. And so trying to bring in money to pay off things that are one-time expenses. Your reoccurring expenses are your people and your utilities and your maintenance. Okay, so last night, August 10th, we approved the voter tax rate election. So these are called, some people call them Vaders, some people call them Vade trees. All you have to remember is it is a tax ratification election. And so we're increasing the tax rate for the voters to approve 12 cents. And before you get too stirred up with that, just work with me for a little while so I can explain what's going on. I'll be able to illustrate this here in a moment. All right. So that's going to bring in $1.9 million next year. And depending on how appraisal values go, if they go up, we make more money. If it goes down, it of course makes less money. But this is an infusion every year, money. Because we have $4.5 million in a loan that we have to pay back plus interest. We have $2.7 million in fund balance we have to pay back. We have $1.2 million in obligations, which means we owe vendors money. And all of those are one-time expenses that we got to pay off. We got to pay them off soon. And so this upcoming year is going to be a difficult year, but if we can pass this later, this is going to give you the long-term stability to get better, and then eventually get in the black and put y'all in a pathway of success, okay? And the district could, in the future, decrease those pennies. But give me a little time. I'm going to illustrate this better here in a moment. So I've talked about the 4.5 we got to pay off to the Prime Bank. We got to pay this 2.7. We've got this 1.2 in obligations we need to pay. And we've got about $500,000 worth of HVAC equipment and other things that broke that need to be fixed around here. I mean, on the outside, our schools look okay, but on the inside, a lot of stuff is broken. And, it's upsetting to me to see all the maintenance needs, but it's because the district has not been managing their money appropriately, and it's gotten us into this dilemma, so we've got to get these things fixed. All right, so moving on, what are we doing to save money? So we freeze all the employee salaries, so nobody's getting a raise this coming year. We have reduced their health insurance contributions from $780 a month to $225 a month. That's a big ouch for our employees. That is a really big ouch. Now we're working with a new insurance broker and negotiating a better insurance package so the ouch will be less of an ouch. It's still going to be an ouch, okay? I don't have exact numbers because the insurance broker hasn't given us exact numbers because they have a few more weeks to get things done. We've reduced stipends, so this affects our coaches, band directors, sponsors. Their stipends got slashed in half, okay? So we had coaches and band directors and others getting upwards of $5,000, and now they're getting $2,500. And so all of this is putting money into liquidity in our budget where we can do the things that we've got to do to make the school operate. Selling of the central office. So board elections are going to coincide on the same day. So November 3rd is the election day. Of course, we have early voting before the actual election day. And so if you're unhappy, you vote the way you think you need to vote for board members too. You know, it's just, that's how our democracy works. If you're unhappy with government, you get active and vote, okay? You get the right people running for school board. All right, this is brand new news. Even our board president's here, Vince Martinez. Just today, I got our preliminary first for this next year. It's going to be an F, just like it was this past year. So that, I predicted this. I told you this back in April. I told this to you in May, and I will tell you that this was I expect. So that was in future tense. Well, the future tense is today. That came out today. And the reason for that primarily is due to borrowing that INS money, but it's also because we have a zero fund balance, and there's a bunch of indicators. So that's going to be a board meeting in the near future. It's going to go over the FIRST, which is the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. That's what FIRST stands for. That's a big ouch, okay? If you're unhappy about a campus having an F rating, this is equally as bad on the finance side. But this is always a laggard. This is because of past tense. It's because of what happened this past school year, 25-26 school year. All right. So last night the board adopted the budget, and it's a deficit budget of $1.3 million. But if the beta passes, we're going to get almost $1.9 million. So theoretically, we're out of the red for the first time. Okay? But that's if the community votes for the beta. All right, that's why this beta is important. It's to get us moving forward. This pays for operational costs. It's not like a bond election. Somebody was out there in social media calling the beta a bond. It's not. It's not a bond. This is a tax ratification election. They're similar, but the terminology is incorrect. One, this isn't going to work. I'll look at it this way. Okay, so these are the corrective actions that we've taken. You can see how this works. So reduction in force, say that's $3.2 million. Our insurance contributions, cutting that down to 225 months, saves us $1.8 million. The salary freezes saves us a little over $500,000. Athletic coaching positions, we actually cut athletic coaching positions. And I can remember vividly when I mentioned we're going to work on extracurricular first. I wasn't cutting instruction. It was called extracurricular for a reason, and that's where I would make the harsher decisions. And so I've carried through with that promise. Now, it means our coaches have to double up. I didn't realize we had 32 different sports programs in this district. Okay? So that's why we have so many coaches. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing for kids. It's a great thing when you have the money. But it's just like your home budget. You can't afford it, you don't do it. We've been doing it even though we couldn't afford it. All right. Anyhow, these are the reductions. This is the total savings, $6.3 million. This is what we have cut since I talked to you last in May. But it's not enough. All right, sale of the district property, we don't know. We have some other things we don't know. I've talked about the voter approved election. All right, so let's talk about some fixed expenses that we've got to pay. We've got to pay $4.8 million for prime bank loan. We've got to pay 2.7. We've got to pay 1.2. I've talked about all of these things. So 9.2 million is what we got to pay. But we only cut 6.3. You see, we're still in the hole. Even though we did all these tough decisions, we made all of these tough cuts, it's still not enough. We're down to the lean on staff now. So really can't cut much more on staff. We're frozen everybody's salaries, so nobody's getting a raise. We're paying less in employee contributions on health insurance. So, really you got to give all our teachers and staff who work here a pat on the back because they're team players, because we really didn't have that many people quit and leave saying, I can't work here. Okay, so really, we have a really dedicated and awesome group of people working for the school district because they're here for the kids, or they would have left. So our ends from the cuts is $3 million less than our outs. But here's the good news. The first three things are one-time expenses. We get those off our books in this coming year and the following year. We're not going to fix all this in 1 year. It's going to take 3. 2 years is going to be tough. The third year is going to be fine. I'm going to illustrate all this soon. But my point is, it took 5, almost 6 years to get into this hole. We're going to get you out in 2+. Okay? But it's going to take the community and our employees and the board and the superintendent all to agree that we've got to suck it up and get through this. We've got to help pay for extracurricular. I know that's another hot topic. We'll talk a little bit about that here shortly. Okay, here's another difficult situation. Most of the time, appraisal values go up. So when you get your property tax bill, it's going to have Crystal City on there, and that's going to be the biggest number of taxes you pay. And then you'll have the county roads department and the municipality, if you have a municipal tax, if you live in the city. And then there might be some special taxing entities that you pay taxes. But almost always in every school district, 50 to 52% of your taxes go to a school district. That's true everywhere in the state. So how the state funds school is when your appraisal values go up, you make more money in tax collections because it goes up, and the state sends you less money. So it's kind of an inverse relationship. So property values drop almost 22%, 21.89%. So that means we're going to get less tax dollars. Potentially, some people are going to get lower tax bills. Where the biggest drop in appraisal values is in minerals. So that's probably not anybody in this room or the property owner. It's the people who have oil rigs and stuff on their property because they depreciate the equipment. And so, I could go on about that topic, y'all. I really could. I could go on a deep dive, but that's not what we're here to talk about. My point is, it's not a dollar for dollar thing, but when our appraisals values go down, the state kicks in more. So we'll actually get more money from the state. That's a good thing. but it's not an equal dollar for dollar. We lose $1 in appraisal values, we get $1 in state dollars. But it works in that direction. Okay, so this is something that was in the newspaper. It's been publicized on our website. Board took care of this business last night. So this page talks about, all right, this is what we're proposing our M&O tax rate will be, and this is what our INS tax rate is. This is how much we've decreased our budgets. This is appraised values. But it's really the second page that has the most important information. And this is something you can go either to our webpage and look at, you can go to the Zavala Sentinel and look at, because it's in the newspaper for the last 2 weeks. So let me just walk you through these arrows, because this is what the board decided to do last night. And some people are going to say, oh my God, our taxes are going up to what? Yeah, kind of, but I'm going to explain why it's not a lot. All right? It sounds like a lot. And if you overreact to it just because you see numbers, I can show you why it's not as bad as it sounds. Okay, so the current year that we're in, this current year ends on August 31st. So our fiscal year starts on September 1st, was 0.6669. We're going up to 78.69. So that's 12 cents. All right. Remember, our appraisal values went down almost 22%. So 1 penny doesn't generate as much money as 1 penny did past tense. Does that make sense? Give me some head nods, yes or no, so I know you understand what I'm talking about. Come on, help me out, come on. Do you understand 1 penny makes less because the appraisal values are going down? Okay. 12 of those pennies are for this Vader, okay? So if the Vader fails in November, board has to have another tax hearing, and they'll reduce it back to 6669, okay? But we have to declare the high tax rate now to justify calling the election. So understand that's how the process works. You're not going to pay $78.69 now. It's going to be after the November election is approved. INS, same scenario. It's going from 24 to 30 cents. This has nothing to do with the Vader. It has everything to do with, we refinanced the bond, and so in the first year, bond payment's actually larger. So we have a bigger bill to pay this coming year. And remember, 1 penny's not going to earn as much as it used to. So this potentially will go back down in a year. All right, this is the important part. If you forget anything else I've said, just don't forget what I'm fixing to say. The average home in our school district is $98,428. Okay? So, that arrow's in the wrong place. So the average taxes is $122 a year. Your tax rate, it was $80. It's going to go up to $122. That's $43. So if you divide $43 by 12 months, that's $3.58 a month. That's a breakfast taco a month. If we can give up a breakfast taco a month, you can pass the Vader and save the school. Okay? Good analogy, I think, right? $3.58 a month, Vader passes, save the school. Breakfast taco, once a month. My idea. Everybody knows Molly Dela Cruz, right? Molly's a great gal. She's been super friendly with me. She was going to bring me this quilt that looks like a tortilla, and I was going to wrap up in the tortilla and be a taco. So I told her I really wasn't really up on that. So we kind of pitched that idea. I think that's why she's not here, is because I heard it. So she really thought that was going to be a good illustration. And it could Kodak know with newspaper, I guess. All right. So again, if we pass the beta, we're good. Coming down here, you'll notice that we have a negative $3.2 million in fund balance. I don't even know how to explain how you have a negative fund balance. Now, the seeding number is the $6 million for INS fund balance. That's very deceiving because that's not, that includes that 2.7 that we shouldn't have taken out of there. We should have 6 million, but we don't have 6 million. So I have Robert Velasquez luckily sitting in the back. I'm telling the truth, right, Robert? Okay, he's shaking his head yes. He didn't say yes, but he shook his head. All right. So my point is, when you hear, oh my God, the taxes are going up, your net change on an average home is $43. And actually, after we ran calculations after this was posted in the newspaper, it's $39. So it's marginally less. But when we post stuff in the newspaper, we take the most conservative numbers because if we adopt something higher than what we put in the paper, that's not legal. So anyhow, the refined number is $39 is your net increase. So, you know, a big question at the board meeting last night is why do we need so much in fund balance for INS? And so this is complicated. It's called deference. So we have what's called, and every school district looks at this, what are your top 10 taxpayers? So in our school district boundaries, the top 10 taxpayers are oil and gas companies. Okay, so if one of those oil and gas companies goes bankrupt or just decides to pull up everything and move out of town, and we lose that taxes, or they file Chapter 13, we have to have enough money in fund balance to make that bond payment. So that's why you carry a fund balance. Now, if we truly had a $6 million fund balance, our recommendation to the board last night would have been to buy down this tax rate. Okay, so once we get that 2.7 back into fund balance, we repay that illegal borrow, potentially next year we could decrease the INS taxes. Okay, plus our amortization of the payments. Robert, you correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Amortization for the payments on the refinance bond, the future years are less than this first year, correct? Okay. All right. So again, it just comes at a bad time. Okay. But it is what it is. You know, at the time, refinancing at a lower interest rate was the deal. It saves the district money in the long run. It came at the wrong time when we're really broke. All right, so here is basically the summary of this presentation. Remember, a vision without a plan is merely a dream. So I'm going to lay out a 3-year plan, and it can get trashed after I walk out of here on Friday. Because Friday's my last day. It can get trashed. I don't think it's going to get trashed, but anyhow, this is the roadway out of this bad situation. This coming year, the 26-27 school year, is just going to stink. And I don't know how to put it. It's just going to stink. It's going to be a tough year. It's going to be tough on all our extracurricular programs. It's going to be a tough year to do anything. It is the bare bones, no frills, no nothing school year. But we're in a survival mode. All right? We're just broke, but we can survive. So what I'm recommending, we again, this isn't something formally the board's taking action on, so this is Richard Grill talking. I told the board about this last night, but I really believe that this is the way to go. So I've kind of bold printed the key points. We've got to pay Prime Bank back. We're going to do that by December. That's $4.5 million plus 7% interest. All right. We hope to pay down these companies, these vendors, these organizations that we've done business with, that we owe money to. It amounts to over $1.2 million. We got to pay them down. I mean, these people, there's one organization we owe them $180,000. It's almost 2 years old. It's not right for us to take goods and services and not pay for them. But everybody's like, okay, there's the new grill guy, he said they're going to try next year, so hopefully I'm not a liar. All right. The other thing that I've tried to get going here is all of our teachers, our secretaries, our administrators and supervisors, and it's probably not going to be all of our teachers at first, it's going to be our grade level chairs at the elementary school and our department heads at the secondary are going to get trained in the Cinder. Cinder is a software platform, it's our business solution. And so when a teacher or a coach or a principal or a superintendent has to make a purchase, you got to put it into the system. How we've been doing things is analog. Fill out a paper form, send it on to the city office, draw this, puts it in on their desk, pile that high, approves it. Nobody's checking the checkbook and see if the ledger's okay. The money's getting spent before it's getting caught. And that's what's been happening here. And that's why we are so overdrawn on everything. It's because the paper wasn't getting processed and ledgers weren't getting done because everything was getting uploaded later into a Cinder. So instead of it going paper to the business office into a Cinder, it's going to go directly from the employee into a Cinder. And the Cinder, the software platform, won't let you spend a penny over what your budget is allotted. That will prevent overspending. And if anybody goes and buys something and they don't go through the Ascender program, they're going to get an ugly, threatening letter and a bad slap on the hand. And if they do it a second time, they might get fired for it, okay? Or they're going to get told, you just bought that out of your pocket, okay? So those are harsh realities because the district hasn't learned how to say no, but the district's going to start saying no this year. And that's going to be assurances to the parents and the taxpayers and the school district as a whole that we don't fall into this trap of overspending. You know what it's like? You put stuff on a credit card, it's easy. Okay. Oh, I'll pay it next month, and you keep getting, until you're in a horrible credit card debt. Everybody knows somebody I know that has horrible credit card debt, right? Well, that's kind of what's happened here, only it wasn't on a credit card. So this keeps that from happening. This is the key element for us moving forward financially, is staying in budget. Now, the other thing that I've recommended, and this is a real easy thing to do, I just got here too late to get it done this summer, is, so our fiscal year currently is September 1st to August 31st. But that doesn't really coincide with school, because school starts, and athletics and everything starts well before September 1, right? So there's a need for money, and right now there's none, because we're still in the broke down budget. We don't get the new budget until September 1st. So most schools, not all of them, but most schools have moved to a July 1 budget because it follows the natural pattern of school. The budgets kick in teachers and coaches show up in August, they need money, they start putting in requisitions, they have money, everything's good to go. Here, you gotta wait till September. We start school on August 24th, but can you imagine a lot of the other schools that started? We've seen it on the news. They started yesterday, they started today, some even started last week. Now, my point is, there's a one-time windfall by going to a July 1st budget. So if we start the 27-28 school year budget next July 1st, we adopted a 12-month budget last night, but we only spend in 10 months. So that buys us 2 months of operating expenses that we can put into one-time expenses. Does that make sense to everybody? This 4.5, this 2.7, this 1.2, all the HVAC, everything else. We're not going to get everything done in year one, but this gives us a 12-month budget in a 10-month span. And again, it comes at the right time when we've got the most lean, most difficult school year to get through. All right, give me some affirmation. Give me a head nod or something that y'all are understanding what I'm saying, okay? Does that make sense? July 1st budget, 10 months and a 12-month budget?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Thank you. All right, year two. So now we're in 27-28. Things are a little better now. Things are a little better because we've gotten some of these one-time big expenses paid off. So now our 20-something million budget doesn't have all these big burdens on their back, and now we can start doing some stuff that we had to cut back on, okay? So all of this cuts in, our extracurricular programs, I'm not saying it's all going to come back, but come back. We unfreeze the teachers' salaries because they deserve to get a raise, okay? Maybe we bump up contribution levels on health insurance that we took away. I could tell you for hours war stories about athletics in my lifetime, all right? But that's not important. My point is it's extracurricular. And we're an educational system, so I'm always going to value what we do in school day first. And if that means we have to shortchange something, then it's going to be an extracurricular because it's extracurricular. Now, year two, things are getting better. Not great, but better. But here's the key word. We've got to maintain financial discipline. We can't start hiring people back because people, I'm so overworked and I can't get anything done. I'm overwhelmed and I'm so tired when I get off work. We all know that, okay? It's called work for a reason. Work. All right? Now, I've been doing this for 42 years, and I don't ever work a 40-hour work week. I'm lucky if it's a 50-hour work week. But, some people say, well, you make a lot of money. All right, maybe that's true. But you don't make a lot of money until you get in your job and you earn your way to it, okay? So it is what it is. It's commensurate. Now, my point to you is we're still paying down probably this 2.7 in year two. All right? And so we're going to get crucified again on our first rating. We're going to get another F rating. I can tell you that's happening because it's because of what we did this upcoming year. And we're not fixing everything this year. And so you're going to get 3 Fs in a row on finances. Don't lose sight of the target. Don't lose sight of the target. The target is in our reach in year two. All right, year three. We can take a deep breath. We can say, all right, we can do a few things this year. We should have all our one-time debts paid. So now the liquidity of the budget is for what we come to work to do every day. And that's educate kids and give kids opportunities. Now we can expand some programs. Now we can do some things. Now we're not worried about, how much athletic travel and everything costs us. okay? This is 2829. Now, what I've mentioned to our board and my cabinet and others, this is an adult problem, so it shouldn't be a children or student problem. All right, kids didn't cause this problem. So I don't want the kids to really hear a lot about this, what's going on. Let's make this an adult problem. Let's talk about it positively. Look, your kids are out there on social media, so, you know, saying ugly things out there, what are we modeling to our kids? Really, people, okay? If y'all want to cuss me, I guess that's okay, but, you know, your kids see all that too, and we're just modeling that to children. Support the school. There's been bad actors and there's been bad decisions made here, but those things are gone now. Those things are behind us now. And I can tell you that I believe in Dr. Miller and I believe in Vince Martinez. I believe both these men are going to be instrumental in implementing this plan or a plan very much like it. And we're going to be there. And here's the thing, y'all kind of grown on me. Because if you really think about it, why would I stay here after my wife had a stroke if I didn't care? All right, for real, for real. I've got a 35-year-old daughter and a 37-year-old son. I'm a lot older than I look, thank God. But anyhow, my point is, they're not happy with me leaving mom at home, but they're in Bandera, they're close by, and they are taking good care of her. And they're probably all watching, and they're probably all saying, whatever that is. I am kind of addicted to this work. It's what God put me on this earth to do. Came out of retirement. I couldn't tell you why, so I believe God just told me, you need to go to Crystal and fix things. And so I've worked diligently to get there. I will tell you, and I mean this in all honesty. Vince and I talk almost every single day. And his heart's in the right place. You have a good leader on the school board. He's leading the charge for transparency and honesty. And he's given me a lot of praise, and I appreciate that too, sir. Because this is how I lead. This is how I've done things my whole career. So they're not getting anything special from me. It's just who I am. Now, I'm telling you, this 3-year plan is going to get you there. All right. So let me leave you with some parting thoughts here. This isn't just Crystal City. But Crystal City might be one of the most needy districts in the state. But 44% of the districts, so TASBO, the Texas Association of School Business Officials, did a survey in April, so just a few months ago, 44% of the districts that were surveyed said they would have a deficit budget. And another 37 were making significant cuts. 81% of the school districts in Texas are in a really bad financial situation. And I'll tell you, the ones that are making significant cuts are the ones that are really cutting back stuff. They see the stop sign ahead of them. They're hitting the brakes hard now. They're just trying to prevent going into that deficit budget. They're doing the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you, and this is a conspiracy theory, so you can just take it for what it's worth. It's no commentary here, but our politicians want public school to die. They want to privatize education. And what you hear is they want to cut taxes. They want to do away with all taxes. Who doesn't like that? The other says, I don't want to have any more school taxes. And everyone says, heck yeah. And so we're all going to vote for it. It's going to be a proposition for you all, and everybody's going to vote for it. The purpose behind this is they want parents to pay for their kids' education. So the big corporations and businesses don't have to pay anything. And people who don't have kids in school don't have to pay anything. So that's why there's so many schools in Texas. This isn't Crystal. Crystal's made some really bad choices, but still, schools across the state. So I'll leave you with that. Okay, I've introduced Dr. Miller. I'm sorry, Vince, you came in just a tad late. I went ahead and did it. So you want to take the mic?
Thank you for the kind words, sir. And, I did prepare a little bit for something for today. This is the first time speaking to my public as board president. I have a couple of words to say at the board meetings and things. This is the first time speaking before you. And I just want to, first off, by thanking Mr. Grill. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all the transparency and openness you've given the board and the community. When Mr. Grill came to our district, he stepped into a very difficult situation. The significant financial challenges that had to be addressed, difficult decisions that had to be made, and some difficult truths that had to be communicated to everybody. Mr. Grill, on behalf of the board and the community, I want to personally thank you for answering the call of Crystal City needed leadership and stability. We appreciate the work you've done and wish you and your family nothing but the best. I also want to recognize that something else that's important today. We have made progress, but the work is not finished. What you heard tonight regarding our finances, our tax rate, and the upcoming Vader election is important because these decisions directly affect our students, our employees, our taxpayers, and the future of the district and the community. As board president, one thing that I've consistently pushed for is transparency. I believe the community deserves to know where the district stands, the good, the bad, and everything in between. We cannot ask the community to trust us simply because we say trust us. We have to earn that trust. It's an uphill battle. We earn it by being transparent about our finances. We earn it by explaining where our taxpayer dollars are going, and we earn it by acknowledging our mistakes when they happen. Most importantly, we earn it by showing that we are putting systems in place so that those mistakes are not repeated. That is especially important as we begin discussing the Vader. I want our community to be educated about the election. I want you to understand what it is, why it's being considered, and how much revenue it can generate. And Mr. Grill did a good job of explaining that. In the future, there will be a lot more discussions in regards to the Vader. You deserve to have the information before you cast your vote. The community should make a decision based on facts, not rumors, fear, or politics. Over the coming weeks, I believe it's our responsibility to make that information readily available and understandable, and to continue providing opportunities for our community to ask questions. I think you got my email, Mr. Grill.
I did.
And it was person number 2, Dr. Miller. Tonight also represents transition for the district. Dr. Miller, transition for the district, preparing to change to a new chapter in Dr. Miller. Dr. Miller brings more than 25 years of experience in public education. His career has included serving as principal, academic coordinator, director of adult and community education at Northside ISD, probably the 4th largest school district in the state, as a school board member, and most recently as a superintendent of prior ISD. He holds a doctorate in educational leadership, along with a bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Texas at San Antonio. One of the things that stood out to the board during his process was the breadth of experience that Dr. Miller brings to the position. He understands education from different perspectives, from the classroom, campus level, central administration, to the superintendent's office, and even from the perspective of someone who has sat on the other side of the table with the school board. But I also want to be clear, the superintendent does not mean we start over. The work that has been done over these past several months must continue. The expectation of this board is that the transition will be seamless and that we continue moving forward. We will continue strengthening our financial controls. We will continue examining how the district operates. We will continue improving accountability and transparency, and with everything else, we will continue putting our students first. Dr. Miller is not coming into a district where the challenges are being hidden from him. He understands the situation he's walking into, he understands the work ahead, and he has accepted the challenge. I believe that it's important for our community, I believe that's important for our community to hear. There's a lot of work still ahead for us. One person is not going to fix everything overnight. The superintendent can't do it alone. A board can't do it alone. Our teachers and staff can't do it alone. It's going to take all of us. And taking something from Ms. Garcia's presentation yesterday, complications stronger together. To our teachers and staff, thank you for continuing to show up for our kids, through an incredibly difficult period. To our students and community, thank you for continuing to ask questions and hold us accountable. And to our students, every difficult decision we make ultimately has to come back to you and your future. We may not always agree on every decision, and that's okay. But we can commit to being honest with one another, listening to one another, and keeping the future of Crystal City ISD at the center of the conversation. Our past has taught us lessons, the present requires hard work, but our future is ours to build. Thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for caring about our schools. And Mr. Grill, once again, thank you for the service to Crystal City ISD. And as we prepare to welcome Dr. Miller next week and begin the next chapter, I ask that our staff, parents, students, and community give him an opportunity to lead, to hold all of us accountable, and most importantly, to work alongside us as we continue rebuilding the district. We have a lot of work to do, but let's do this together. Just once again, thank you to everybody for coming here tonight. Like Mr. Grill said, I did speak to him. He's been here about 100 days, and I think I spoke to him about 80. And I have a lot of conversations. I drive an hour and a half every day home from work, and that's usually when we talk. The conversations have been personal. They've been about the district. He's helped me grow in the position that I hold now as the school board president, and I just want to thank you. And every piece of advice that you've given is welcome and very much appreciated. And that's all I have for today, sir. And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And if there's any questions, I'm always open for questions. If you see me in HEB or whatever, anywhere, stop, ask me questions, send me Facebook messages, emails. I have a district email. I forward those to the superintendent. But just go ahead and ask questions and continue asking questions. This is y'all's district. This is y'all's community as well. This is everything about y'all, not just about this, not just about us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate those heartfelt words. All right, we're at 7:02, so I'm going to wrap up here. Okay. What can we do? What can you do? Number one, first and foremost, keep your kids enrolled in our schools. Don't let the ratings be your barometer of what our schools are accomplishing or not accomplishing. Remember, the test is just one day out of the school year, and I can tell you frankly, there's kids that don't try their hardest. Honest story, I've got a 16-year-old grandson. I love him. He's named after me. His name's Peyton Richard Grill. And it took him a couple tries on his EOC to get passed for English. He's way smarter than that, but you know, teenagers sometimes it is what it is. So don't let the test and the accountability rating fool you. It's a political tool. It's a political tool to make public education look bad. It is not the barometer of the quality of education your kids are getting. Now, transferring out will ensure that this district closes and consolidates. No matter what we do to fix other things, losing kids is the nail in the coffin. So please, whether you're worried about the accreditation rating, or you're worried about the accountability rating, you're worried about the finances, or you're worried about the turmoil that is in our athletic discussions. Everything here is okay. It's just we got to get through the financial side of things. That doesn't affect what the kids are going to experience with their teachers. I can tell you that the teachers here are dedicated, and I know this. Why? It's not because I've been in their classrooms. It's not that I've had opportunity to walk the halls a lot because I came in the last 6 weeks of school and school hasn't started yet. I know it because they didn't leave Crystal City when we grow salaries. Okay? That shows the commitment. And that is why I know that this district's going to be okay in the classrooms. Now, number 2, avoid being absent. You know, ever since COVID happened, attendance rates across the nation have plummeted. But it's worse here in this district than the state average. Why? There's no reason why this community should have a lower attendance rate in its schools than others. This is an adult problem, moms and dads. I'm sorry if I'm scolding. I'm just saying, get your kids to school. I get it. I've got 6 grandsons. And I hear from my daughter-in-law and my daughter about how hard it is sometimes to get them going and get them dressed. I get it. But the deal is school prepares them for life. You have to be at work on time. We need to teach those skills. They don't just automatically, when they graduate, have all the skills to perform. We don't teach them when they're young. Get up, get ready, be prepared, do the homework. It's like going to work. You train them. All right, if you're going to miss school, please try to stay here till 10 o'clock. All right? So at least get the attendance caught for them, please. And that's kind of the workaround, but please bring a doctor's note if you go to the doctor. It matters, okay? It matters. Because we need them in the classroom so we can teach them. And we need funding. All right. While lunches are free, there's still a home income survey form that comes home. And most parents say, I'm not going to fill that thing out. There's no need that they need to know what my business is. And you're kind of right, but here's the deal. When you turn in those income forms, because the geocache for each community is based on how many how many people are collecting government assistance. And so this community is rated at 99% eco-disadvantaged. But we don't get the forms in, and the forms will tell us nothing because we're not filing it. What that does is it allows us to gain funding through allotments from the state. So get those forms turned in, help us out. We're not nosy, we're not here to look at who makes one or who doesn't make one. All right, big topic, hot topic. Let me explain a little bit of what's going on. Grill came in and says in April, but we got to do something with athletics. Parents are going to have to pay for stuff. We're going to fund varsity level and everything sub-varsity. Parents are going to have to pay for everything. You're going to take your kids to the games, and whatever. I thought, all right, that's foolish. That's not going to work. It's going to create chaos. So then I said, all right, we're going to do pay to play in May. And the wheels started to come off. I started getting people coming to me and saying, Mr. Grill, people are just going to withdraw their kids. They're just going to go somewhere else. And we're going to lose kids. And I told the board, look, I'm not ready to play roulette with money here. If we do pay to play and we have 100 plus kids pull out, like we lost 103 kids this last year, we're going to close doors. We'll just try to fund it the other way. So this has kind of bounced back and forth, back and forth. I've had a lot of good meetings with Eddie Gutierrez, and I've met with the Band Booster Club officers earlier in the summer. And boosters want to do the right thing. They want to get out there and earn all the money, because basically what I've said is any travel expenses, the parents are going to have to help pay for it. So the bus, bus driver, any tournament fees, any referee fees, anything on the way, because home games don't cost us as much, obviously. So boosters try to do the right thing, and they get out there and they put out flyers, and they said, all right, it's going to be $100 for your dues, your kids in the athletic period, it's going to be $100, and then, some other things. And it looked like the school was doing pay to play, and people were saying, hey, but Grills said we weren't doing that, and we're doing that. No, we're not doing that. Now, I'm not throwing the boosters on the bus. In fact, I'm praising the boosters for doing the right thing. They're out there trying to get money to help pay for the athletic program. It came across looking like it was the school district doing pay to play. Now, there's others who are worried, well, if I give it to the booster club, how do I know if it's going to go to my kid's program? I'm trying to be silly. You can giggle a little bit, okay? It's okay. Really, seriously. Nice better smile. So the deal is, if you want to, instead of giving the $100 to the booster club, to give it to your coach to put into an activity account, again, Robert Roskis and the coaches have met, and that's how we'll do it. So you can do it both ways. You can do it one way or the other way. Some people want to just write a check. I'm not doing fundraisers. I get you. I don't like fundraisers either. I want peddling cookie dough. I always use cookie dough as my example. Cookie dough. Oh my God. Anyway, hey, $20 for a cookie dough. So I'm just going to write a check for $100 and get it over with. All right? Because who do the kids hit you up for cookie dough and stuff like that? Moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents. There are teachers. Yeah, poor teachers. They're like caged up in the classroom. Can you buy my cookie dough? Can you buy my cookie dough? Poor teachers. Principals get it too. So my point is, if you want to write a check for a donation to the 7th grade football team, you can send it to the school, or you can just write the check, put a little cover letter with it, bring it by the office, or give it to your head coach. They're going to go put it in their account. But here's the deal. If we don't have money, they don't go to the game. It's real simple. Now, what I've suggested is save the transportation costs, because there's enough parents going to the games, we can get the kids to the game. Because who rides the bus home after the game? Nobody. All the parents are there, and they bring their kids home. They take their kids home. So just flip that. Get notes. Moms, dads, get notes if you're taking someone else's child in your car, so you have a little bit of liability. I can drive it. Miss Veronis. That was a bad example. All right. That's a Freudian slip. There ever was one. Okay. Now, finally, I got a laugh out of y'all. Good. All right. I'm blushing and y'all are laughing. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. That was a good one. I embarrassed myself. No. All right. So my point to you is, we just have to figure it out this year. Let's just get it done this year. Instead of belly aching and complaining and saying ugly things out there on Facebook and blaming the superintendent, blaming the school board, blaming. None of that's going to change anything. All we're doing is modeling negativity to the kids. Don't do that. Let's just join hands and say, we're in this together. Now, I was told, once a javelina, always a javelina. So now I have a letter jacket. I don't know if y'all saw that. That was a trip. So I have a Crystal City letter jacket, size medium. I have one size medium since I was like 5th grade, okay? Now my kids and my wife, they all got a big hoot out of that one. I'll tell you, I got it on and I snapped one button. There must have been 100 PSI on that one button. All right, so my point to you all is, let's just work together, okay? Let's just get it done. Because the kids deserve to have their seasons. And the parents, I've been a parent, and now I'm a grandparent. I want to see my kids play. So I want your kids to play. I want y'all to experience seeing your kids play. I want Friday nights to be like Friday nights are supposed to be. So let's just help out. Let's do what we can together as a community. Because this is what I've learned about Crystal City. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not just saying this to be politically correct. I live here. When I go into HEB, man, he comes across the hill. It's real. All the way across, shakes my hand. Thank you. He's a good guy. I appreciate you doing that. Makes me feel welcome. And other people are there, and I just make sure I don't buy any cerveza at HEB. No, I'm not doing it. And the thing I also see is there's always at least one person in the cafe, or one person at the restaurant, or one person at the HEB, if not multiple people that have green and gold shirts or caps or something. This is the most school supportive community that's proud of its school that I've ever worked in. Okay? Seriously. There's a lot of pride here. So let's just exuberate that pride in supporting the school through this tough time. I know it's not the orthodox way of running a school, but if we can get through this 26-27 school year, we should be on the road to recovery the next 2 years. And, I hope you maybe come back. Maybe make a game. I won't stand up here ever again. But anyhow, Coach Battle hooked me up with a couple shirts and a cap, so I can look the part now. I'm going to be at the scrimmage Thursday, Coach. I said that. So anyway, y'all have grown on me. And I want to see y'all be successful. Think about it. Why else would I be here? What else would I be doing? Why did I come out of retirement for? Was to solve problems and to lead a charge to help the school get back on track. All right, I want to give a shout out to Prime Bank. Hopefully they can hear me. This is on YouTube. Prime Bank bailed us out. Okay? Prime Bank loaned us $4.5 million to make payrolls. And I want to specifically mention Bobby Priestley. He was really worried about me leaving, and I appreciate all the confidence he put in me. But I told him that the district was going to do the right things, and they were going to get paid back. They're a small bank, and they took a big risk on us. And so, again, community partner in this community bailed the school out. So you got to appreciate that the business, men and women that own businesses and shops and restaurants here in town are doing their part to help. Make sure you tell them thank you when they do things, they support the school. Because honestly, businesses pay a lot greater share of taxes than homeowners do. All right, this is another funny. I got this button when I was retiring at Sabinow back in 2024, and I really was proud of this little button. I didn't wear it at school because of the kids, okay? But I was really proud of it. I thought, I went through COVID, Nobody knew how to lead through COVID, but all organizations had to get through it. And, it was hard. You remember COVID. And, then you had all the infighting, mask on mask, vax on vax. People make everybody work. No, don't make everybody work. It was horrible to be a superintendent back then. And a lot of superintendents have left the profession. There is a gross attrition of veteran superintendents retiring everywhere. You know how I know? I've had 4 job offers in about a week. I really have. I've had more job offers because they've heard leaving. You're still, hey, when we go to the prior. So I said, thank you. That's a huge compliment. I appreciate it. But I'm going home to Mama. She's watching. And I'm telling you, that's where I need to be. Okay? I need to be home. I need to check off a few bucket list things with her before we get older. But I will tell you, pull this button out for this job because I have never worked harder and stressed out more than I have here in these 100 days that I've been here. And I want you to just embrace that and understand that I didn't have to come here, but I did. I didn't need the money, and I certainly didn't plan to. I didn't think this through, really. God really had a plan, because I didn't think it through. God, I'm going to have to live with them. I can't commute water every day. And I stuck it out, okay? So I've gone through a lot with you all, behind the scenes. I've sweated bullets late at night, trying to think things through. A lot of conversations with Vince. So I sign off with this. This is one of my favorite things. When your last name is Grill, you better know how to barge. Okay, I'm just saying. And as a kid, I got teased a lot. But then when I got older, it's kind of like, yeah. And do you know how much paraphernalia you can buy with the word grill on it? Man, everything you can imagine has grill on it. Grill king, grill master, master grill, king of the grill. I have so much stuff. So I built an outdoor kitchen years ago, and I use this as a backdrop to my sign-off. And so I want to say thank you, but I want to say thank you in a more personal way than just thank you for being here. I was talking to the Utopia superintendent, right before coming over here. So I mentor young new superintendents. And so Joshua Ham is one of the superintendents that I mentor. He was calling me, he said, hey, Richard, I've got some really bad financial problems. You don't know what bad financial problems are. No. But how can I help you, Josh? And anyway, he said, how did you do all? I just do it, You know the song, you're driving through hell, and you do what? Keep on driving, keep on going. So, been plowing the field here, and every time I do a town hall meeting or I do a teacher meeting, there's stuff said out there in social media. And I've been pleased that I haven't been wrecked out there in social media. People have appreciated me for being honest. People have appreciated because I've been transparent. People have been appreciative that they knew there was something wrong, but they just quite didn't know it, and I told them. Okay? I had the courage to hand out termination letters to 72 employees. That was a hard day. But I guess my point is, you do what is needed, you do what it takes to make it happen. And the community has been really good to me here. And I don't say that just to say that, I mean that. So I hope all the people who are watching on YouTube that are from Crystal and the surrounding area or have a reason to be watching, that they understand this is a special community. Because y'all have treated me exceptionally well for an outsider to come in and do all the things that I've had to do. And I want to say thank you for supporting me. I appreciate the kind words, the gestures, people going out of their way to come across and shake my hand in different places that I've been in town. Y'all been very friendly, and I know because of that y'all care enough to do what's needed to save this school. So I leave you with that. I thank you for the blessings that you bestowed on me. I have felt very fulfilled coming back to work and doing the work that I've done here. And I'm convinced, without a doubt, that if you stick to this plan or something like it, that you all will be in a much better place in 2 years. And I can tell you, 100 days today, it went by like that. But when I was first starting here and thinking I was going to be here till December, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be, it was tough being away from my wife and family every day. Going to the sagebrush. And by the way, I want to say thank you to Darian Thompson too. Sweet gal. She's taking good care of me out there at the hotel. And again, I know that I've been treated so very well. The board has been very responsive to my bold directness. I told them when they interviewed me, I probably have never worked for a superintendent like you. They just didn't know what they were getting into and said, okay. But I'm just a kind of a straightforward person. So again, if you have some personal questions, you want to talk to me after the meeting, I'm glad to stay as long as it takes. I'll be around for a few more days. We'll ride off in the sunset sometime after lunch on Friday. And I'll be back. I won't be back in this position, I promise that. But I'll come back, and I want to see great things in Crystal City. And I'll leave that with you. I appreciate everything you've done. I'm going to turn the mic back over to Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. And it's just one thing that I wanted to, we were talking about the pay to play. It was up with the board last night. I just wanted to say that the district has not adopted the policy of pay to play. It's not required. I'm sure the coaches and everybody across, they appreciate whatever you donate to them. I just wanted to make sure that it said that it's not required to participate or to be enrolled or anything like that. And just the coaches will appreciate the donation, but it has not been adopted. Just want to throw myself in closer, but that has to say. Thank you.
All right, any questions at the audience? Yes, sir.
Donations have to be approved by the board, or we just go straight to the coaches?
No, so I've asked the board to suspend that board policy, so the superintendent has the authority to accept. So how the board policy reads is if someone wants to donate money to the school, they just donate a check. But if they want to say, I want this for this sport, you need to put that in writing with the check. You can either bring it by the central office, and then it's going to be put into an activity account, or you can give it to the coach. Okay? I would prefer donations not be made in cash to the coaches, so nobody gets accused of anything. I mean, that's just wise to do. But Eric, just write the check or Venmo, however you want to do it. I don't know. However it works. Work with your coach or work with the Booster Club. Either way, it's going to benefit the kids. Other questions?
Vince, you guys mentioned about the tax rate. We're going to have more meetings on that, just to explain more to the people, because there are rumors out there, just to clear that up. And the plan that you presented, the 3-year plan to get out of the situation we're in, that's with the tax rate being approved. And if it does, I'm all for this one. I don't want to be but there's a lot of people out there that are against it. And what's going to happen is, I guess people need to know the truth. If it doesn't pass, then we're not for it.
The school's going to close and consolidate. That's what's going to happen.
It needs to be put out there because people are, they need to know, the rumor is that if it don't pass, we're closing, we ain't coming back spring break. That's what
No, it wouldn't happen that
for
way.
sure at the end of the school year.
Most likely, yeah. Because we've got a $1.3 million deficit in the budget right now. And we have no fund balance. So that means we can't do payroll at the end of the school year. So we could possibly borrow money and live through next summer and start another year in the situation we're on now. But eventually, we're going to run short. You're running a race with one leg tied back. So you know, I get it, people don't want to pay more in taxes, but here's the bottom line, it's real, it's real. This isn't imaginary, this isn't we want to pay the superintendent and everybody more money, that's not what this is about, it's about keeping the school open.
And I was going to say, in terms of additional information, we will plan to have more town halls. We'll plan to have a dedicated website to get additional information, flyers out in the public. The emails have been sent to Mr. Burrow, which will be sent to Mr. Dr. Miller. So those have been requested, and we will do our best to get any information, all information that we have.
And then, so that we can also try to help, and, you know, again, I don't want to give the wrong information out to people, but just so that we can try to help tell our friends or family, like, hey, this is why we need to do it. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, well, Carrizo can just take this, but Carrizo's also adopting a negative fund balance, are they not?
I'm not too sure if they are or not, but I do know that they're losing property
They're also,
values. Research that I've done, but I don't think it's that simple just to.
yeah, people just think like, we're just gonna go to Carrizo, it's right here, but that's.
There has to be a point where, yes, you're all going to go, but there has to be a point where you can say we're booked.
Yeah, and the thing is that if we don't pass it, the school closes, that school district that we can follow that with gets our debt too.
No,
No?
that's not true.
Okay.
They don't, those taxpayers won't pay.
You'll still pay on the bond for 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
regardless, if the school closes or stays open. The thing is it's not Carrizo gets to choose, or we get to choose. You have to petition, the board has to petition the surrounding school districts, and they adopt, yes, we want to or not. And what you typically see in consolidated school districts is the elementaries will stay in the home community, but the secondary kids will get bused. But if the neighboring school district doesn't have the facilities to take on all of those extra students, they're not gonna tax their people to pass a bond, build more schools or wings on their school to take out of town kids. It just doesn't happen that way. So it's not so easy, oh, they're just gonna go to Carrizo. And I'm sure there's people watching from surrounding communities that hear this, so we don't want to say anything that would be taken as negative. So, you know, talking about their budget stuff, I would prefer just not have that conversation here. It's not appropriate. But what I will tell you, and we're bound now that we have to be careful about how we promote voting for the Vader, because we're considered school officials and we're not allowed to promote it. Law can promote it. We can't. Yeah. So the reality, the things that we can talk to is factual. So if the district runs out of funds, it has to close, and the kids have to go somewhere else. That is a fact.
I just had a quick question. As city mayor, let us know what we can do for the school district itself with campaigning or advertisement use of it. I would say that the city council and city staff will go and support y'all in whatever ways that we can. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If we were to consolidate them, I don't wish about the city of South, one of the reasons here in the city, and also a teacher here in the CCISD. Will we inherit their tax rates if we were to consolidate with the same Carrizo or LaGuardia?
All right, so the question is, will the citizens of Crystal inherit the tax rate of the school district we consolidate with? The M&O tax rate, yes. So if they have a higher M&O tax rate, the citizens of Crystal will pay that higher M&O tax rate. But the bond indebtedness that was approved by the community of Crystal City only stays with Crystal City taxpayers forever until it's paid off. Now it's not forever, it's however many years the bond is still left to pay.
So would that be put like on facts? Like I know that there's something that's gonna be put together, like all the facts to go to the Vader. Because I believe that Grayson Springs, tax rate is 86. I believe that 2 years ago they passed something like a basic.
I think they did. All right, so I know Vince, just today, he communicated to me things that he wants to continue this conversation on. So there'll be more factual information. We can put out facts. So the $3.58 and the approximate cost of a breakfast taco is factual. So we can say something like that. But we can't tell you, oh, if you don't vote for it, we're going to close. We can't propagandize this. You, as citizens, can say whatever you want. And in that light, it's kind of like a bond election. There's people who don't want to have their taxes go up and do whatever buildings of the school, but then there's others who want it. I can just tell you that every teacher, because almost every teacher here is from Crystal, if every teacher votes for it, and all the parents vote for it, it's going to pass. I mean, that's a factual statement. All right, I saw another hand going up. So, yes, sir.
Are the exceptions, homestead still active during the order group?
Absolutely. And that's a great question.
So that means that based on the $90,000 value of a home, most homes will not have an increase on their taxes because they're under $140,000.
You know, I appreciate that, and you're a much smarter person than me on this subject. But, all right, so the average home is $98,400 and something. If you're a homeowner, you're a bona fide homeowner, you're not a renter, okay? And this isn't if you own multiple pieces of property, but on your homestead, you get a $140,000 exemption. If you're over 65, like myself, you have to go to the appraisal office and you have to fill out a form that you're 65 or older, or they freeze your taxes. So you get that frozen before this thing passes, it can't go up. And the state kicks in another $60,000 on that $140,000, so you get $200,000 exemption on your home. Now, if you own land that's not ag exempt or wildlife exempt, which a lot of the big ranches are, but if you own some property and you got a house on it, your house is exempt, but not all your acreage is exempt, okay? So, again, it depends. I foresee a fact sheet or something being produced that will be posted. We're going to create a web page, and one of the first documents we're going to drop in there, I brought this, because if you remember when I told y'all my previous town hall meetings, don't believe me because I tell you so, believe me because I show you so. So this is fresh off the press. We just got this last night. This is an efficiency audit that we paid to have done. It's a really good, informative sheet. Now, it doesn't answer all these tax questions, but it does explain that why we're taxing at 12 cents. This is called an efficiency audit. This will be going on our webpage. In fact, we've already posted it this afternoon. If you go to our website to required postings, which is all the things that we're required by law to post, this is on there. It's called an efficiency audit. But we're going to create a web page that's for the voter approved tax ratification election. And so the district will be able to drop other fact sheets and information in there. And I believe that there'll be public meetings like this in the future too. And so the election's on November 3rd. You know, again, come ask questions. Rumors are generally not always true, okay? And I've said this for a long time. Just because it's in Facebook doesn't mean it's true, okay? Really. Just saying. All right. So be careful what you read, unless it's coming from an official person. Now, again, y'all can say what you can. Teachers, you can't say it at work. You can't put it to your email at work. You You can't run it off on the Xerox machine at work. Don't do those things, but when you're off work, you can talk to anybody you want to. The only people that really have restraints is the superintendent of the school board. All right? We can only present facts. We can't present anything that is something that's promoting or creating, inciting fear if you don't do this. Okay? We can say is the school will close and consolidate if we run out of funds. That's a truthful statement. What other questions? I feel like there might be some others. Okay. The main thing to take away here is there's a plan. I've illustrated that. People can be mad about it, but that's not going to change anything. So, let's take it on the half full instead of the half empty glass approach. Be positive about it. Understand that, yeah, it's bad, but it can be fixed. And the right people are on the bus to get it fixed. And I know and I trust Vince Martinez exclusively with this conversation. Everything we talk about is about transparency. He wants transparency, and I guess that's why he and I like to talk to each other. We both talk to each other a lot. I teased him a little bit the other day about it, but my point is we have really good conversations, and we're pretty tightly aligned in our belief systems, and that's to be transparent and honest. And so, my parting moments with you all, it seems to me that y'all trusted me, at least the comments that I've seen. So trust as I leave this place that you have a board president that's working hard and asks some tough questions on making sure that we're doing what's right in the district. If you have any personal questions you're not comfortable saying out loud, want to talk to me afterwards, I'm here. Thank you so much for welcoming me to your community. I say God bless and thank you for being a good host to this person.
Can I get your number already?
I said I go an hour, I said, sure, I'm too much. Okay. 7:25.
Is that before you said 6:42? Okay, there it is. Got it. Okay.
Hi.
Bye. Thank you.
Next week. Right?
Thursday, yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'll be here Thursday.
Okay. Bye, Vince.
Bye. See you later.
Compared to last year. So I just want to know, I want rent, that can give him rent. Yes, to my house.